Next speaker is Ryan O'Brien, also with the 484th Bombgroup, and he's going to tell you a story. You probably heard of Schindler's List, the movie. Yeah. He's going to tell you a story about that with a little wrinkle on that. So here is Ryan O'Brien.
Thank you. Probably have to hold it.
Yeah. Okay.
I got
It slides.
I got one more special announcement here. You know, we've always had the one that came from the furthest for our reunion was Slim from Alaska. We got that beat. My granddaughter Nova O'Brien, where is she? Nova and Dirk from Switzerland. There's Nova, Switzerland. My granddaughter came all the way from Switzerland to see this function.
Great.
Thank you, Toby. I know many of the veterans don't know it, but they're on Schindler's List. Schindler saved 1,200 Jews from the gas chamber, and the descendants of those 1,200 are 4,200 descendants they claim from those 12. But I guarantee you that there's more American flyers and British flyers that were saved by Schindler than the Jews he saved. Because every 20 millimeter shell that he manufactured were duds. We got two on our fourth mission. We got two of those 20 millimeter shells, and they tore it apart, and they said, well, they're duds. So for 50 or 60 years, we always thought we had duds. They weren't duds. A navigator called Bettinger, who was a navigator in the 8th Air Force, wrote a book, and the book was called The Fall of the Fortresses. Their plane had 11 20 millimeter shells in the gas tank. Now all it caused was a fire. They caught on fire, and the fire reached from the right wing, clear to the tail out of the flames. But then the self-sealing tank cut that off. That stopped the fire. We were on our way to 6 miles southeast of Vienna on the Danube River to bomb the underground oil storage. About 200 miles south of Vienna, we lose an engine. Can't stay with the formation at 23,000 feet. We drop down to 13,000. And we're right then about over Lake Balaton, which is in Hungary, but it's about 100 miles south of Vienna. In comes 6 Messerschmitts. We're all alone. We call the P-38s, they saved our life. Our tail gunner shot down one. The one that put the 20 millimeter shells in our gas tank, he shot that one down. The waist gunner got a probable. So we got 2 of them. P-38s got to either chased them away or shot them down, but there was only one left. We get up, I go over to in front of the upper turret, there's a crawl hole about 2 foot square, just in front of that crawl hole, and you stand on the plate deck and your neck sticks out about this much out of the plane. And as a dumb kid, instead of putting the plane's on fire, instead of putting the parachute on, I want to see a dogfight. So I run over and jump up and look all around. They'd already gone. But this one Messerschmitt came through on 90 degree, and I could see him eye to eye. He was about 6 feet away, and if I had that 45, I might have got him. But he hit about a foot too high. I find this out 50 years later on the History Channel, that the German Messerschmitts, the German fighters, were instructed they had some more their planes, and they were short of pilots, but they had more than they could ever use. So they would lose a plane to get a bomber, and they would on B-17 they would go through and cut the tail. On a 24, they hit right behind the upper turret. If they cut that with their prop, it was breaking too. Well, he comes. I look up there. Here he is. He's right past. It was a little bit too high, and awful wonder. I still don't know whether he made a mistake or he looked down and we're on fire or going down anyway. Why should he lose his plane and have to bail out? The third thought was, we're over Lake Valentin, probably he don't want to bail out over water. So that might have saved our life there. So we got the two planes, we're still at 13,000, and we had no thought of reporting in the last. Leaving when you get in trouble, you're supposed to head back. But we were only the fourth mission. We thought we were supposed to bomb that thing and keep going. So we ended up heading for the target with a formation of 23, and we're 13. And to give the pilot a heading to hit 10 miles to the right of the target. As soon as you hit the Danube, we fly down the Danube, you can't miss it. So we're going in 90 degrees to the formations up there going across it. So we're opposite. The German gunners are going crazy because they changed all their headings for, they thought they were coming in horizontally. Because we were getting all the flak. The 26,000 people up there didn't get much flak because they were all put all the guns on ours, one plane. We hit the target, got all the way back. And that's when we found out that those two shells were dead. That's what the crew chief said when they tore the plane apart. And we thought of that for 50 years till we find out through this book called The Fall of the Fortresses by Elmer Bettinger. It tells about the 11 shells in their plane. In a B-17. They opened those shells in England, and it was a real top secret. It was never let out. They opened those and found there was no detonator, no explosive charge. There was just enough to fire it, but not. Then they were dead. But one of them had a note, and the note was written in the Czech language, and it was stated, "This is all we can do for you now. Using Jewish slave labor is not a good idea." The connection is also obvious. Our pilot was Howard Steinberg, Jewish. And so instead of 1,200, there were 1,201 Jews. And all the others that ever got hit by a 20 millimeter shell and survived didn't, because one of them would blow the wing off. If they all got, any of you got hit by one of those, you're on the Schindler's list. And there are actually more American airmen, British airmen on Schindler's list than Schindler's list. than the Jews he saved. He saved the 1,200. But he saved a lot more Americans. And they really honored him. He was a real top Nazi, but he was anti-Hitler. And he did more sabotage for the Germans than anyone could have done what he did. His factory was in Czechoslovakia. And he started off making muskets for they carry, the food things, pans and stuff like that, and switched in. He asked to switch to musicians because he wanted to do this sabotage for us. So he was working for us. And anyway, it was a great fight, and I know you all. I was trying to think what it was. There was something else that come up there, but that really covered it. We got back on the 3 engines with a hole in the side about 3 foot diameter in the side of the waist of the gun of that. And it was obvious this plane was called the Rover Boys, and it was only our 4th mission. We never got that. It took them about 2 months to get it running again with all the holes in it. We had it assigned to it what was going to be our 25th mission, and we crashed in it. So that, and it was called then "What's Up, Doc?" A lot of pictures of that thing. "What's Up, Doc?" Well, that was we crashed. We were the lead ship taking off on our would have been the 25th mission, and 2 engines caught on fire. We never got over 500 feet high, and it crashed in the plowed up field there, and near about 6 miles from the Toretta airfield. And they let it. We had 2 of those booby trap bombs. You know, they have 500-pound bombs. We carried 9 of them, and 2 of them were the booby trap bombs that had a delay between 6 and 72-hour delay. Those bombs went on the Martian yards, and they buried about 10 feet. So for the next 3 days, these bombs are going off, one after another, one after another. They go off. That's to keep the workers from doing the repair. But then slave labor had to go in there and work with them bombs in between those explosions. But that we landed with those 2 things, so that plane, they wouldn't go near it for 3 days till finally tried ended going off, and then they blew the whole thing up, put a charge on, blew the whole plane and all. But when we hit that plowed up field with the wheel, the right wheel sheared off, and that wheel went a quarter of a mile. But that's where I got the Purple Heart, because I was the pilotage navigator flying the nose turret. And I was the last one to get from the nose up to the flight deck where they're all getting for the crash. There was no more room. So my legs are right behind the nose wheel. The nose wheel crashed and just about got the left foot cut off. But I was the last one out of the plane, and everything turned out all right after that, except their last mission. I'd say the last mission was 3 missions, because at that time it was late in the war. We had orders, no bombing, radar, no bombing, and we're absolutely clear. They wanted to make no mistakes that close to the end of the war. So we had all the targets. First one, overcast, solid flak, 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 flak. Second alternate, solid flak, flak. No, all overcast. We dropped the bombs on the 3rd target, which is really going almost 3 missions. Heading back, pilot says, we got no hydraulics. They shot out the hydraulics. So now the wheels, you have to crank the wheels down. We got no brakes. So he says, what we're going to do is going to land, and I want everybody to come up to the flight deck, and as soon as we touch down, all go to the rear and drag the tail. Maybe they drag the tail and stop us. When we came in and landed, we only used half the runway because both tires were flat. Flak hit that, hit the center of the runway, went over to the side, we're up at a 45 on the edge. And then they meet us out there with the Keesler whiskey. Was it Keesler? I forget the name of it. Oh, he's a shot of whiskey on that last mission, right out of the bay. But it was a great time, and when those fires come in, here's the damn wings on fire, and I had my parachute rolled up in the I always rolled the flak suit around the parachute. I didn't know the holes in the parachute. I figured, well, if you get one in your arm or your leg, you're still okay, but there weren't any holes in the parachute. So I was protecting it to have it down under the desk. But when those fires hit, I forget all about that parachute. I'm up there looking out through that upper hatch. I haven't seen dogfights. But it was too late. P-38s got them. They got away. And the very last one, though, that came in, that was something. They cut the antenna wire. That was all they did. Just cut the antenna wires. We're finished, and thank you all for coming. And sure, great. Thank you.